Pull up a chair for a minute. I've been thinking about a word. Not because it's a bad word, but because of what it can do when someone hears it often enough. Lazy. Maybe yours wasn't lazy. Maybe it was dramatic, too much, scatterbrained, unmotivated, impossible. Sometimes people hand us labels long before we understand ourselves. And if we hear them often enough, we stop hearing them as opinions. We start believing they're our identity. If you've ever carried a label that felt heavier than it should, today's visit is for you. Welcome to Wisdom from the Porch with GP, a place where we slow things down, tell the truth, and hopefully leave a little lighter than we arrived. I spent a lot of years believing that if I just tried harder, I'd finally become the person everyone expected me to be. Maybe you felt that too. You watch other people remember appointments, finish projects, keep the house organized, stay focused. And it all seems so effortless. Meanwhile, you're trying just as hard, sometimes harder, but all anyone notices is what didn't get done. So the label arrives: lazy. The problem is, once a label sticks, we start looking for evidence that it's true. Every missed deadline, every forgotten birthday, every unfinished project, every pile that keeps getting moved instead of put away. It all becomes proof, not that we struggled, but that we failed. And that's a painful way to live. Here's what I've learned. Most of us aren't carrying around accurate stories about ourselves. We're carrying old stories, stories written by people who didn't have all the information. Sometimes they loved us deeply. Sometimes they were frustrated. Sometimes they simply didn't know any better. But regardless of why they said it, we don't have to spend the rest of our lives agreeing with it. That doesn't mean we stop taking responsibility, though. It doesn't mean we stop growing. It simply means we stop confusing our struggles with our worth. There's a big difference between saying, "I forgot," and saying, "I'm a failure." There's a difference between, "I struggle with consistency," and "I'll never amount to anything." One describes a challenge, the other becomes an identity. And identities are much harder to put down. Maybe today, the most important thing isn't becoming someone new. Maybe it's finally letting go of someone you were never meant to be. Before we finish today, I'd like you to think about one label you've carried for a long time. Ask yourself, who gave me that label? And then ask, is it still telling the truth? You might discover that you've been trying to outgrow a story that was never yours to begin with. Before I go, this is Heard You. This week's Heard You comes from Kevin after the episode When Therapy Didn't Work. Kevin wrote, "I feel like finding a good therapist is like finding a needle in a dozen haystacks. I need to find one that recognizes my spirituality and my religion. Also, finding one that doesn't marginalize my issues because I'm a man that should be able to suck it up and deal with it better. I keep trying, though. Kevin, thank you for sharing that with us. The part that stayed with me was your last sentence. I keep trying, though. I know that may have seemed like a small thing to write, but I don't think it is. There's a quiet kind of courage in refusing to give up after you've been disappointed. I hope you find the right person to walk alongside you. And thank you for reminding all of us that sometimes perseverance doesn't look loud. Sometimes it simply sounds like, I keep trying. Today's visit is supported by cloud microphones, built for voices that have something worth saying. If something from today's visit resonated with you, or if one of our past conversations has stayed with you, I'd love to hear about it. Your story may become part of a future Heard You. Thursday, we're going to talk about something many people carry in silence. Why the holidays feel heavy long before they ever arrive. Until next time, I'll save a chair for you.